Hey guys, welcome back to I'm Just a Fan, and we are going to be talking about all of the big free agency moves that have been made so far in the NFL. I'm recording this on the 9th, so Monday, the first day of free agency. There is a chance that I'm going to miss some of the signings because they're still being made while I make this video. If I have enough time to catch them, I will edit them in. But as of right now, I'm recording this. It's almost 6 p.m. Or no, it is 6 p.m. It's past 6 p.m. Eastern time where I'm at. So anything that has happened before, I should be able to cover in this video. But if not, we'll get to it another time. Regardless, let's get into it because there's going to be a lot to talk about in this video. First, I want to touch on Tua being released by the Dolphins. This was, again, expected. Everyone knew this was coming. He was making way too much money. It's still crazy to me that he is going to be that much of a cap hit. I think it's $54 million just for the next year, potentially $99 million over the next 2 years. I could be wrong on that, but regardless, $54 million. I mean, the Dolphins are pretty much screwed next year just from a cap standpoint. But, hey, Tua finally gets to get out of there. We'll see if he turns his career around. And he actually ends up signing a one-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. So there's something that could be maybe, brewing there potentially. I think he'd be a decent fit in the offense that Stefanski likes to run. It really just depends on, who does Stefanski prefer heading into the 2026 season. Is it Tua or is it Michael Penix? And really, how does Michael Penix do health-wise? If he's, injured here and there, Tua is going to get chances. So I do actually really like this move for Tua. And then to pivot off of that, the Miami Dolphins end up signing Malik Willis to a 3-year deal. And look, this has a lot of either boom or bust. I mean, this is probably the most boom or bust move that we have in free agency so far. And again, this was an expected move with Miami's new head coach just being the former DC for the Packers. Apparently, he had a very good relationship with Willis, so this makes sense. But I think this is, again, a very good move just on paper. Money-wise, you can argue about that, but I'm talking just from a player standpoint. Look, this guy showed flashes over the last couple of years. If he booms, then the Dolphins have a quarterback all of a sudden. If he busts, you can move on the contract in a year or two, from my understanding. And at the end of the day, he's still a solid backup. He'd probably be a really, really good player to mentor, or a good mentoring player if they end up drafting a quarterback high in next year's draft. Because realistically, again, you're going to be already in cap hell by just having to pay off of some of Tua's contract just from next year. I see the Dolphins being terrible next year and really kind of putting all of their chips in towards 2027. So look, we'll kind of see what happens with Malik Willis. I hope the best for him. He really didn't take a ton of dropbacks this year. I think it was like 28 max. But again, when he had his number called on the last 2 years, he made plays and ran the offense at times almost more efficient than Jordan Love. So we'll see what happens, but it's really the most boom or bust move that I've seen so far. Next is the Raiders, and the Raiders were making moves. I'm not going to talk about every single move, and I should have specified this earlier in the video. I'm only talking about really key signings, in my opinion. I'm not going over every single one-year contract. It just would have, this would just take too long, and I don't think you guys care about that much anyways. But they do get a 3-year deal done with Tyler Linderbaum. I thought this guy was a giant. I thought he was going to go link up with Harbaugh, but he doesn't. He leaves and goes to Las Vegas. He will now be Fernando Mendoza's center moving forward. And look, the Vegas Raiders needed offensive line help very, very bad, especially after the decline that they saw last year. And again, this only benefits really the entire offense. It benefits Kubiak, it benefits Genti, and it benefits Mendoza. I like this move a lot. Did not see him going to Vegas, but definitely give Vegas props. This is a great player, a player that I've liked since the draft, and this is really only going to help you. I don't see how this is a negative. Sticking with the Raiders, they end up signing Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, both on 3-year deals. All of a sudden, the linebacker corp has just been completely, just revamped, I guess. Yeah, that's the right word. I don't know why I'm blanking. It's been completely revamped. I really like Quay Walker. He didn't start his career the best, but I feel like he's been a pretty solid linebacker the last couple years for the Packers. And then as an Eagles fan, I can talk a little bit more about Nakobe Dean. A great player. His main concern, and really his only concern, is can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, he is one of the better linebackers in the overall sport, in my opinion, at least as a middle linebacker. He is a violent player. He is a quick player. He makes plays really on all ends, and he just does what he is asked to do. So I like this move, or both moves really, for the Raiders. They're getting better on defense and offense. I really can't hate on it. Again, I almost like it more because you're signing Quay Walker as a potential insurance to Nakobe Dean if he does deal with some injuries. So I really like the move for both sides. Another massive move was Jalen Phillips going to the Panthers today on a 4-year deal for $120 million. I thought the Eagles were going to re-sign this guy. Oh, that's what we were hearing, really the last couple days. All of a sudden, he gets a bag with the Panthers, and I can't hate on it. I mean, again, you have life-changing money in front of your face. Panthers were probably able to offer a little bit more than Philadelphia. Go get your bag. I know he didn't have a total or a very high sack total with the Philadelphia Eagles, but if you really look into the metrics, his pressure rate was just incredible, and he did impact a lot of plays. I wanted the Eagles to bring this guy back. It just depended on how much, but I wasn't comfortable giving him that much money. So I'm kind of split on this as an Eagles fan, but for the Panthers, I think this is a great move. They needed to improve on the defensive line anyways, and again, with a few offensive lines I wouldn't say are suspect in that division, but definitely can be had. I like this move, and again, you're just adding to that defense. There are playmakers on that defense. Now, adding even on the defensive line, that's only going to help out the overall unit. So I really like this move for Carolina. They had to make a splash, and they got their guy. This might be the most shocking move of the day, strictly because I never thought this guy would play in another uniform ever. Mike Evans signs not a 1, not a 2, a 3-year deal with the 49ers. Look, is Mike Evans going to play football for that much longer? I have no idea, but I thought he would have at least retired with the Bucs, and he probably will, but I just never thought he'd even leave. He's now going to San Francisco. From just a Mike Evans to San Francisco standpoint, I actually really like it. Look, you're getting a veteran. You need to improve with some receivers. Again, there wasn't really much that they were throwing to at times last year, but hey, you have Mike Evans now. Mike Evans can still make plays. He definitely looked, though, like he slowed down a little bit last year, specifically with some of the injuries. But look, he's still a veteran. He's going to help really everyone else around him. All I've ever heard about Mike Evans is that he is a great guy. He's never a locker room cancer. So I like the move for the 49ers. I just am shocked that he even left Tampa. And 3 years also is a little interesting to me. ETN signs a 4-year deal with the New Orleans Saints. I like this one a lot. I think ETN is a pretty solid back. Look, is he, the prospect that we saw or, at Clemson? I wouldn't say he fully has lived up to that hype, but I also don't think he's a bust. Maybe it's because I paid a little bit more attention to him this year, but I had him in fantasy. I traded for him in fantasy in my one league midway through the season, and my God, he just produced almost every week. It was almost every week, and he gets involved both in the running game and the receiving game. I think that fits what the Saints are trying to do. They've always kind of had those type of running backs. It's just another weapon now for Tyler Shug. Tyler Shug. I always mess up his last name. We'll see what happens with Kamara, though. It's a little bit of a cluttered backfield now. Really don't think he's going to be on the team next year based off of this move. But, hey, you get your running back that you can rely on. Again, 4 years, pretty solid. He's not too old. And in my opinion, he'll still be able to make some impact plays. And, again, it's just another receiver in theory for your quarterback. So I like the move for the Saints. I'm glad they made a little bit of an offensive splash. Rashid Shaheed signed a 3-year deal literally right before I made this video. Glad he stayed in Seattle. Just felt like he was a Seahawk after helping them on the Super Bowl run. And again, you gave up, I think it was a 3rd and a 5th round pick, so you want to retain him. And the 3-year deal is not too bad. I think it was 30-something million from what I could see. Again, I didn't get to see too much of it because it was right before I started recording, but I like the move for Seattle. Him and JSN, they just really add a vertical type of aspect to that offense, and I just think, he has a rapport now with Sam Darnold. It just seems like a good fit for both sides. Speaking of the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker was not retained, and he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs on a 3-year deal. I love this move for the Chiefs. I've been saying for years, the Chiefs need to get a real running back. I'm done having, Pacheco out there. I'm done having Samaje Perine. I'm done having Damian Harris back in the day. Get a real running back. And we've seen the decline in the Chiefs offense the last couple years because they refuse to run under center. The running backs are coming back in the NFL, even if they're not necessarily elite guys. It's a running back by committee type of system, and the Chiefs don't have a lot of guys. They were running out Kareem Hunt last year at times. It's just not a good place to be in. You got to help out Mahomes. Kenneth Walker, from what we've seen, when he can stay healthy and stay consistent, he is a great back. It's his biggest thing is just, again, can he stay consistent? It's a new place, new team. We'll see how it goes, but I think on paper, it's a great move. Was curious if they were going to maybe go out and get Love. And honestly, honestly, I wanted them to get Breece Hall at the deadline, but they never did it. So I think Kenneth Walker is a good move for the Chiefs. I like it on paper. Again, the biggest decider really for us is going to be how much is he used, and number two, does he stay healthy? Alec Pierce re-signs with the Indianapolis Colts on a 4-year deal. He gets the bag. This kid has been an up-and-coming player the last couple years, and as someone that believed in him out of the draft, I'm just really, really happy for him. He deserves the bag. And then right as he is signed, Michael Pittman is traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers to free up $24 million in cap. The Colts had to do it. Again, if you're giving that much money to to Alec Pierce, you got to get rid of someone. And let's be honest here, Michael Pittman's been a good receiver, never a great receiver. And I will say, I do think it's a solid move for Pittsburgh, though. You're taking a chance on a guy that's not too old yet. It's now, making your receiving corp a little bit better because you have him and Metcalf and I think, Calvin Austin, if I'm remembering his name correctly. But look, it just adds a little bit there. I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers comes back. It's another weapon for him. And again, you saw down the stretch when DK Metcalf was out, the Steelers receivers were lacking, to say the least. So I think this is a good move for both sides. Again, unfortunate Pittman never worked out with the Colts, but that's just the type of move you got to make when you're paying your next guy over $100 million. Odafe Oweh signs a 4-year, $100 million deal with the Commanders. Look, I know he didn't necessarily start his career the best with the Ravens, but he did kind of come on at the end of the season last year with the Chargers, and he goes to D.C. It makes sense. D.C. has to compete with Philadelphia. Philadelphia obviously is very good on the offensive line. These are the type of moves you have to make if you want to combat that. So, look, D.C. makes a splash. They finally actually get a guy that isn't, 35 years old. And I really don't hate the move for D.C. You got to make these type of splashes, especially when you look at the defense last year. There was little to no playmakers on that entire defense. Yes, there were guys here and there, but there was no one that really stood out. And you got to start generating pressure because, my God, that secondary was bad last year. And we're just going to have to see how it all goes. But, hey, I think a defense is usually built within the defensive line, and I applaud DC for spending that money. All right, the last team I want to talk about is the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans were expected to have cap space, so this isn't shocking to see, but they still made a couple moves, a little bit more actually on the defensive side, which I wasn't expecting, I guess. I thought they were going to maybe go a little bit more offensive, offensive specific, which they still did make an offensive move. But let's talk about these moves. I mean, they get cornerback Alontae Taylor, a 3-year deal from the New Orleans Saints. I don't know a ton about this guy, but I heard he's a very hit-or-miss player. I don't really know what to say other than, you're bolstering your cornerbacks. And then they also got Cordale Flott, a 3-year deal for another cornerback from the New York Giants. I heard that he's a pretty good slot guy from what I've seen. Again, I don't watch a ton of his film or anything like that, but I have seen him make some plays when I have watched the Giants, so I will say that. It's not like I didn't know this guy's name, but I think this all really goes back to Robert Saleh's new system. How is this all going to fit in with the Titans? And when you watched the Titans last year, which I don't know how many people were doing, but I know I was because I have Cam Ward in one of my fantasy dynasty leagues, and I have to pay attention to the Titans. Obviously, his success is directly correlated to my success, but that doesn't matter. Regardless, one thing I really noticed when watching the Titans is, man, that secondary is awful. It's trash, and it just consistently gets burnt. So they had to make some moves there. I really don't hate it. They also get a defensive lineman from Denver, John Franklin Myers, another 3-year deal. Again, Robert Saleh, when we've seen him have success in the past with the 49ers, he invests in the defensive line, so he's getting a guy there. But here's the offensive move that they do make, which I love, honestly. I love. They get Wan'Dale Robinson from the New York Giants on a 4-year deal. And this guy, I have fallen in love with this guy the last couple years just from fantasy. My God, this guy, he doesn't run a ton of deep routes. He's not the most explosive receiver. But if you need 5 to 10 yards, this guy's going to find the open spot in the zone. He's going to be able to run a nice out route. This guy just gets catches. He gets, his catches. He gets, not explosive plays, but he'll get you 5 yards. He'll get you 10 yards. He makes catches. He is a reliable receiver. I think he helps really any NFL offense. And this is a guy that I think Cam Ward is going to love. The connection, I'm hoping, will be there. Just a guy that's going to be reliable. Again, especially if, let's say the defense is really, really kind of playing off a little bit. Okay, we're going to dump off to the flat to Wan'Dale Robinson. This guy just gets open. He just gets open. I think Cam Ward's going to love him. I think this is great for the offense. I think this is a great fit. That's all I had in this one so far. I'm hoping I get this up on the 10th, which will be Tuesday. We will see because I have a busy life. But I wanted to talk about this stuff just because, again, these are huge moves. These are massive moves. These are moves that are going to dictate what happens next year. So why not talk about them? Again, it's NFL free agency. It's borderline a holiday, and we need stuff to talk about before we go full basketball mood in the next couple months. So let me know what you guys think about these signings. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like. Please subscribe. Please drop your thoughts down below. My TikTok will be in the description below as well. And if you made this far in the video, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.